Live from the SABC's Auckland Park studios, welcome to this Friday's edition of The Watchdog. My name is Vuyo Mvogo. With just over a week to go before the November 1 poll, the battle is also heating up on our television screens. The country's top three political parties are buying slots on television channels, all in an attempt to take their campaign messages to voters right inside their homes. Tonight on the program, the ANC, the DA and the EFF talk us through what lies behind their messaging, whereafter our panel of analysts weighs in on the issues the parties are raising in their respective messages. We'll also bring you a little something from my long-lost friend, Puppet Chester Missing. All that coming up in tonight's episode of The Watchdog, which starts right now.
Hello everyone, I hope you're having a great start to your weekend. Chester here, in case you've just arrived on this timeline and you think I'm Vin Diesel or Nathaniel. My goodness, yesterday I joked about Jacob Zuma. Guys, we need to calm down. None of these...
Well, before we take you through those ads, let me introduce you to the people who know everything there is to know about why and how the respective political parties decided on the imaging and messaging you're about to witness from the adverts that they have commissioned. Let's do this from the ANC, we have its Communications Committee member, Ngenge Gegana. Representing the DA is Celius Brink. Leanne Matthys is the EFF's election spokesperson. Now, in alphabetical order, let's start with the ANC's advert.
On the 1st of November, we'll all get to decide who will lead our municipalities. Choose the ANC and let's build better communities together. The ANC is turning a new page in local government. We pledge to ensure safe and reliable electricity. We pledge to enable local investment to create quality jobs. We pledge to provide youth with training and development opportunities. We pledge to tackle corruption in our municipalities. Let us build cities, towns and villages that thrive. Vote ANC and let's build better communities together. Vote ANC.
And the DA's has been running for a while now, and here's how it goes.
The Democratic Alliance spends your money on delivering services where we are in charge. Unemployment is the lowest and we do not tolerate corruption. Even the national government admits the best run municipalities are all governed by the DA. But the choice is yours. You can choose collapsing basic services or streets that are maintained and clean. You can choose to live in chaos and fear, or the protection of thousands of local law enforcement officers. You can choose blackouts and the devastation of livelihoods. Or you can choose a DA government that is creating jobs and working to become load-shedding free. The DA is the only party that brings all South Africans together, and the only party big enough to bring positive change to your municipality. In this election, choose the DA. Because the DA gets things done.
And here's the EFFs.
Hela, South Africa. You are running out of time. You can see it everywhere. Young people need jobs. Manje. Namhlanje. She needs to own the land her business is on. Namhlanje. Why give her grant money only to take it away from her rates and taxes? This will stop Manje. Namhlanje. He needs the clinic open for 24 hours. Manje.
Namhlanje.
Women need to feel safe and protected, not tomorrow. Manje. Namhlanje. We need accountability. Manje. vote EFF, you vote for yourself, your land, your jobs. Manje! Manje! Manje!
On the 1st of November, vote EFF. Vote for you.
Well, I'm going to start with you, Mr. Gegana. What was the thinking behind your particular advert?
We can't. I don't know if I'm the only one who has the problem, but I can't hear. It keeps cutting in and out. The only part I heard clearly was the ads, well, the EFF ad.
Yeah, I'm facing the same thing.
It's very bad.
Okay. Well, since the three of you, we're going to try and see what we can do then. But let's start then with, let's still go ahead. Start with you, with the ANC. Nkengekegana, what was the thinking behind your approach to the advert you've come up with?
Well, our message is about unity, is about hope, is a pledge to serve the people of South Africa, to deliver services to communities in villages, in towns, and in cities. We still believe in our lodestar, which is a better life for all. And we believe that using the face of the president has really made sure that there is continuity from President Mandela to President Ramaphosa. So we try to address the fears of the white community, while also finding a balance with the aspiration of the oppressed community. So the face of our campaign is the president, and he stands for unity, and he also stands for the pledge to unite and serve the people of this country.
Interesting. Silas Brink, what lies behind yours?
So thanks very much, Vuyo. You've got to achieve two things, basically, in crafting any kind of election message. The first is to define what your offer is to the voters. And the second is to compare that offer, or to position it in relation to the offers of other political parties, because you have to explain to people what the implications of their vote is. So the DA's core offer in this election is we get things done. The best run municipalities in South Africa are run by the DA. The DA delivers not just to ratepayers and people who can afford to pay for services, but also indigent communities, as proved by Stats SA and the index on access to water and electricity and most of the basic services. It's not just us who say it, it's Stats SA, and of course, it's ordinary people who move to DA-run municipalities in increasing numbers, well off and poor, in search of better prospects, better living prospects, better job prospects. And that is what the campaign and the offer is about. And then you go and you see what sort of language, what words, what images convey your offer most effectively. And so in the ad, you see John Steenhuisen posing with various mayors of DA-led municipalities, the best municipalities in the country, in fact, as well as other DA public representatives that show the strength and the diversity of the DA. And I think those ads are quite positive and they convey that message effectively.
Leanne Matthys?
Thank you, Vuyo. Thanks for having the EFF. That's all about lands and jobs, Manje. Our ad was very simple. We didn't have to bring in anybody necessarily creative. We are in touch with the needs of South Africans. And our messaging is from South Africans. It's that simple. The EFF, outside of us having a pool of intellectuals, we also have a pool of creatives. So when we gave the brief to the production company, it was a very simple thing. we know that the people remain landless in South Africa, the majority of South Africans, and this is the biggest block to South Africans and dealing with the level of inequality in our country. The issue of unemployment, and especially amongst youth, and the issue of women. And these are the realities of South Africa. So we didn't have to go out there and try to create a story or to try to be imaginative about capturing the dire conditions that South Africans find themselves in at the moment. So EFF, that's our commitment. There's no way that any political party that is governing anywhere in this country, if there are people who do not have access to running water and proper sanitation, you have failed. You cannot come and you cannot brag that you have delivered any level of service. These are basic human services. If people are living in squat, you have failed as a government. And what we are saying to South Africans now is that this is the time. Now, you're not even voting for the future, you are voting for your today. So, manje, mklanje, let's do this. Let's take our people out of the squalor that they find themselves in. I mean, be here on the campaign trail here in Cape Town. I don't know how it's possible that any governing party can boast about having best run governments and you see children running around in sewers. Let's not even talk about potholes, toilets outside. There's no dignity in that. So it's shameless that any government can come and brag about delivering any level of services when people don't have access to just human services. Water, running water, sanitation, like a flushing toilet. Those are just basic services. And that is what the EFF is going to deliver when you vote EFF on the 1st of November.
Interesting. I mean, picking up on a point that Leanne Matthys has made, the fact that they decided to exclude their leadership from the adverts. I'm keen to know from the ANC and the DA why you felt that they had to be there from the beginning and then also from the closing shots, albeit both of you approached it differently. From the ANC side, it's the continuity you wanted to show, as you said, Genge, but from the DA, it was showing Steenhuisen, and then you close with Team DA, which is your mayoral, your mayors from the places where you are governing. Just in a little shed some light there in Kengekana, if you will, as to why that was important for you, especially that open sequence, because it doesn't escape anybody. You start with that Mandela image, and then it goes on to Cyril Ramaphosa. Why was that so important?
You know, the ANC has the responsibility to unite the people of this country. There are different communities with the same needs, the issue of water, sanitation, electricity, roads. It runs across different communities. So we look back at 1994 and we say as the ANC that if you look around you, you'll see that towns and cities have grown radically. There are new communities that have come up. But of course, there is also the end of influx control. There are many people that have moved into towns in cities. If you look around many of these towns and cities, you know, there are new communities that have come into the cities. We have a responsibility not only to look after the interests of these new communities that are coming up, but also to ensure that there are services that are continuing in the established settlement. So the ANC has to, you know, find that balance between providing services and ensuring that the infrastructure that is laid out provides for new communities that are coming up in the cities and the towns. So we have that responsibility to showcase this thing. But of course, there are tensions between various communities. You know, if you live in an established suburb, I'll give the example of Lenasia, where we had to build a new reservoir simply because there are what you'll call informal settlements. These are new people that are coming into the cities. They need services. So the bulk services that are there that we inherited cannot cope with this influx. It's a rapid influx, rapid urbanization, and it's a challenge. So we are saying as the ANC that we have a track record. We have managed to build new communities in these towns, in these cities, and we'll continue to do so. The tension that exists between established communities and the new communities has to be managed. And the ANC is the best party in this election to manage those tensions and provide better services for all. The sewers that are running, the lack of sanitations in the informal settlements, of course, is a challenge. We have to ensure that we build infrastructure and we provide those services.
Silas, I'm keen also from your end to just let us in on why it was also, for you, very important to start with the leader and end with the leader, and of course, the rest of his team that is currently, running municipalities, and touch perhaps on what you said in your opening remarks about strength and diversity.
Yes, I think it's very important to know that the leader and the leaders of a political party, to a large extent, define that party. They give meaning to what that party promises. They give credibility. And I think it's important not just to use actors or to use people who, might be ordinary activists, but to showcase your leaders. If you're not proud enough of your leaders to show them, then there's something wrong. And I think it's also very important to tell people who they are voting for. And I think that's another important point to make, and why the DA has appointed mayoral candidates in the municipalities where we believe that we can win, or at least push the ANC under 50% of the vote. If you don't know who you are voting for, whether it be your ward candidate or the mayor of your city, you can't make a proper informed choice of whether what is being promised to you is credible. So yes, leadership defines the brand of a political party. The DA has confidence in our leadership, and I think it's important to convey that.
Leanne, yours is, your starting sequence. You're showing these like burning tires. Should we attach any particular importance to that?
Service delivery. And as we know that we have the levels of service delivery has just increased drastically over the years. And that just goes in line with the looting that the ANC and, the DA too, I guess, have been doing.
I'm sorry, what about DBS? What about DBS?
As that happens, you're also getting the bad service delivery. And we know that South Africans are so frustrated now that they even have to go to the extent of burning tires to get attention from government to be able to build services. And that's shameful, because after you go once and you make a phone call and say, we don't have water, we don't have electricity, it should be dealt with. But no, South Africans must have to go into the streets. They have to go to extreme levels to get the attention. And then the government will still send in police. We have people get shot just for service delivery protests in this country. And now you have the same government here saying, let's get together. We're going to build better communities together. These are the same communities that get tear gassed when they go out and they demand the services that have been demanded, that the government has promised them.
Leanne, do you not have faith or confidence in your leaders? Do you not see a reason to showcase them? As Celia suggests, that people need to know who they are voting for and who are these people, that they should put their faith and confidence in.
Well, I mean, it's unfortunate that some of our party leaders are not known. The EFF, since our inception on the political space, our leaders are well known. We've been active both in parliament, in all political spaces, so I don't know who would not know who the EFF leadership is. So there was no need for that. We wanted, the point of our ad is to capture what South Africans are going through. And when you actually watch it, and if you understand the pain of, and you are a South African, and you understand the pain of what South Africans are experiencing, you can relate to this. So this is what we are saying. We are saying to South Africans, we are with you. We are not like removed from you. We don't have to bring in a huge team into a boardroom to say, oh, okay, please tell me, how can we word this? We know how to word it because this is our experience. We don't have to bring someone in and say, okay, which type of imaging should we use? We don't have to do that. This is the reality. What are we saying to South Africa? It's now. If we don't do the change, if we don't do it now, it's now or never. So we don't have to do all that. We don't have to put our party leaders. Everybody knows them. If no one knows your party leaders, or you want to go and show up your party leaders, I mean, that's your thing.
On the back of your Lodestar, better life for all, and of course having to, get that to make sense for someone who watched your councillor candidate signing the pledge at that ceremony that was led by President Cyril Ramaphosa the other day. It must have been difficult, though, for you to sort of marry those. On the one hand, you're saying we're promising a better life, but then also make the acknowledgements that you were making, or these candidate councillors had to make as they were signing that pledge. How easy or difficult is that, especially when you have to put up, I mean, ads are essentially a performance, really?
Well, the issue of the leader of the party being responsible for all the cadres that are going to be in local government is important. So the pledge by the president is important because all our councillors are representing the ANC. The issue, for instance, the issue of mayoral candidates, mayors don't appear on ballot papers. The ANC, led by Comrade Cyril Ramaphosa, is responsible for ensuring that there are services. We might have had setbacks here and there with our leadership in particular communities, but we are determined to ensure that government as a whole, from national, provincial, and local government, there is cooperation in ensuring that there are services there. For instance, if you look around you, you'll see that there are new suburbs that have developed in cities and towns. National government provides grants to provinces and also to local government to ensure that, for instance, in local government, there is bulk services, new communities as they develop. Our councillors are responsible for ensuring that, the USDG that is provided by national government is spent well and infrastructure is developed. And of course, even if it is the private sector that is providing services in the suburbs, the national government will ensure that there are roads that are built in those communities. So we're talking about cooperative governance here. So the pledge by the leader of the ANC and, of course, the commitment of our councillors, we are seen as one. There is no division here. Even in the Cape, where the DA is governing, when it comes to bulk services, national government does provide the subsidies. If they take up those subsidies as the DA, so be it. But we are confident that the councillors that we're putting forward are men and women that are committed, they are qualified, and we've got a lot of young councillors that are coming up. We've got women, and we've got a multiplicity of skills that are deployed at local government to ensure that we improve on the track record that we've had. Rapid urbanization is not a child's play. It has its own challenges, and we are determined as the ANC to continue improving on providing services to all communities across the board.
Okay, Silas, why was it so important for you to tell, show people that the implications, as you called it, of voting, shall we say, differently? Why was that such an important thing or point to make in your advert?
Well, I think there is a sense of urgency in this election. We're now sitting with 64 municipalities in the country that are classified by national government as dysfunctional. Most of the Northwest don't have functional sewage treatment plants. Large parts of Limpopo and Mpumalanga, the Free State, don't have any sort of service that repairs roads, that maintains electricity infrastructure. So when Eskom load shedding ends, the municipal electricity network is so compromised that it breaks down further and the lights don't come on after load shedding. And all of this has happened simultaneously with the deterioration of municipal finances, money not being managed properly, and this disproportionately affects the poor, because the poor depend on the proper management of municipal finances. So let's not delude ourselves. In 5 to 10 years, certain of the municipalities in this country, and I would venture to say most of them in the Northwest, are not going to exist because there's simply no money. And the state of infrastructure would have reached a point of no more repairs. And even if there is a prospect of repair, there won't be any money to pay salaries or contractors. And there's certainly not going to be money from national government to bail out these municipalities, because national government has already voted to transfer what was left to SAA and Eskom. So there is a sense of urgency, and we have to show as the DA that we have the goods to offer South Africans to fix the broken municipalities, or at least some of those broken municipalities, because it's not just about those municipalities. It's about the future of the country. It's about what lifts South Africa up and what pulls it down. And unfortunately, we have got between 64 and 100 municipalities in this country that are pulling us down. And so it's so very important for us to show that the DA can get things done, and that we have to get things done in places where services have deteriorated. And it's not just urbanization. In many of the towns, the problem is that people move out, businesses leave, young people don't have any prospects. And it's those places that need rescuing. And if we don't rescue them, the malaise will spread to the metropolitan cities, because that load has to be carried. The services need to be provided.
Okay.
And I think that highlights the importance of differentiating, to say, take this road and it will lead to one destination, or take an alternative road and there might be a better future. Especially in this country, okay, we have to explain to people that you don't vote to affirm an identity, you vote to bring about change. And I think that's the essence of our message.
Leanne Matthys, everything now, namhlanje, why was that so important for you?
I don't even know how to answer that, because I think every South African voter, or everyone who lives in South Africa, knows that it needs to happen, and it needs to happen now. It's no longer about us voting for our future. In 1994, we were voting for our future, and look where we are today. We have people being murdered for asking for free education. We have people being murdered asking for a decent wage there in Marikana. No one has been held accountable. So, mind you, it's like now, it's urgent. Like, we can't keep going on the way we have. So it was really that simple. It was like this thing, it's now. It's now. If it's not now, it's never going to be. It's not about your future for your children. It's about your tomorrow, your today, and how we are going to move forward. So that's how we moved in that regard. And when we go to the communities, you must know that our manifesto, our elections manifesto, is informed by our consultative meetings that we have. And we have them in almost every municipality across the country, right? So that comes through. People come and they cry. While we going on the campaign trail, I'm with the president in particular at the moment, people come and they come on stage and they share their stories. It's heartbreaking. Every single community meeting we go to, it's something about a toilet. No flushing toilet, no running water, no roads. Children are dying in pit toilets. I don't know how any governing party can even come and ask to be voted for again if they had even 100 or even one too many people living in a municipality where they do not access running water, where they do not have a flushing toilet. I don't even know how a party can even say, I want to take over and start running more municipalities when they have failed and they have children who play in sewers and in dumps. There's absolutely nothing to be proud of. So we say now, if we don't do this now, it's never, ever going to happen.
Okay, special thanks to Leanne Matthys, who is the EFF's election spokesperson. Celia's Brink represented the Democratic Alliance, and Gengeke Gana is the Communications Committee member of the ANC. In case you have just joined us, with just over a week to go before the November 1 poll, the battle is now heating up on our television screens. You have the country's top 3 political parties buying slots on television channels, all in an attempt to take their campaign messages to voters, this time right inside their homes, not at taxi ranks or open fields, and so on. So what we are asking the 3 political parties representatives is what went through this television campaigns, the issues they wanted to emphasize, and why. Up next, our panel of analysts weighs in not only on the issues the parties are raising in their respective messages, but also some of the things that you've heard from the 3 political party panelists that just spoke. That coming up in a moment. Well, let's bring into the discussion now analysts Makosini Mgijwa and Levi Ndo. Good evening, gentlemen. Thank you so much for your time this evening. I don't know if you saw the adverts when we played them earlier. Quite interesting, very different, all 3 of them. And I'm wondering what you then made of what the respective party representatives had to say as they sought to explain the thinking that went into those particular adverts. Let's start with the ANC one. Makosini Kwija, that's what you made of what Ngengeke Gana had to say on the back of that advert.
Well, good evening for you. I think, and to my fellow panelists, I think what is very clear is that the ANC has decided that it's going to capitalize on the popularity or the respectability, acceptability of their president, Cyril Ramaphosa, who's also the president of the Republic. And for ANC president on renewal and fighting corruption, and also as president of the country, he's been on that platform. And I think he's been consistent on that message. And I think it will go a long way towards helping the ANC to have him as the face of the campaign. And, that's why also the ANC is using the face of former President Nelson Mandela, who's regarded by many people as as much of a saint as a politician can be, and even up to the time that he passed, he did not have a whiff of corruption around him or anything of the sort. So they are trying to use that to say, this is the party of Nelson Mandela, this is the party of Cyril Ramaphosa. even talking outside of the adverts themselves. They've brought in former President Thabo Mbeki, former Deputy President Phumzile Mlambo-Ngcuka, and many others, including the former President of the Republic, Kgalema Motlanthe. So clearly they are using the acceptability of their stalwarts to the communities of South Africa to say this is the ANC, or sort of like a rebooted ANC, or an ANC that is renewing itself. That's how they are positioning themselves. Because if it were not for that, then the discussion has to be about the things that people are unhappy about, and the things that people are accusing the ANC of having done. And I think there's a lot that's out there in the media that's been reported about the problems of malfeasance that the ANC is facing.
Levando, on the ANC.
Good evening to you. Good evening to the viewers at home. I would love to agree with my fellow panelists to say that for me, I see the ANC that is saying that we have been in power for some time. We know and understand the challenges that are facing ordinary citizens, but we still want to continue and do better in addressing those challenges. What they also do as the ANC is that they don't necessarily want to shy away from the challenges that South Africans are still facing even today. And if you look at the message that they have, is the very same issues that they've been talking about in the past elections. And what they're actually saying is that we've been able to move from one area to the other, but yes, indeed, there are challenges that they can still be able to deal with. But there is also a sense of panic that I've observed and desperation on the part of the ANC. Hence, you see the big guns that Makosini has actually spoken about, that they are not taking these elections for granted. And what I think they want to do is to say, in the areas where they did not perform well, and specifically in the metros, that is where I think the ANC wants to capitalize on, because I think they're quite aware that when it comes to some other rural areas, and in the main, they've got sufficient support in rural areas, hence the focus is mainly in the metros, where they still want to regain power. And if you look at the focus and the concentration of the ANC's campaigns, they're actually putting a lot of energy on the metros because they're quite sure that in rural areas, they have a potential to perform well.
Makosini, on the DA ad?
Well, on the DA ad, I think the DA has got a bit of a problem because statistically, the DA performed the best in 2014 and 2016. And at that time, it was under the leadership of Mmusi Maimane, who's no longer their leader. Now it's John Steenhuisen. And I think what they're trying to do here is to show the softer side of John Steenhuisen. They've been sending him to townships and other areas. He's been singing one of, Kwaito, songs, trying to dance as best as he can. I think what they're trying to do is to show a DA that is softer, that is more acceptable to black people in their attempt, because undoubtedly black people are a majority in most of the areas that the ANC, the DA is going to be contesting elections in. But also, all this is happening on the back of them having lost a lot of credible black people, black leaders. Mmusi Maimane that I've mentioned, Herman Mashaba have left the party, Patricia de Lille. All these people are campaigning to try to get the vote from the DA. So, and I think they understand very well that they may find themselves in a very difficult problem if, the ANC, the DA performs badly under John Steenhuisen. Because there's already precedence that if you drop from, the last election, you're on your way out. That's what happened to Mmusi Maimane. And I think there may be a bit of, a fear that if the DA does not perform well in this election, there will have to be another leadership change, which will have dire problems for them towards 2024. So I think, they've also been off message for some time, especially during the time when there was a controversy around the posters in Phoenix and Durban, and where, for a number of days, they were not talking about their manifesto or things that they were going to do, but they were busy managing the fallout from those posters. So in terms of elections, that's a big problem for them, and for them to, again, pivot back to message and say the positive things that they want to say about their municipalities. But also, it becomes difficult for them when they talk about, that where they govern, there's clean governance and all that, but people point out to problems in areas such as Cape Town so they've got that problem. But in terms of the message being acceptable to their base, because that's a very important thing, I think the DA has proven over the years that it understands its base and it talks to its base. You may think that you and I may find some of their campaign slogans to be divisive or to be negative. But, history has shown that, the DA voter base responds very well to such messages. You remember, in 1999, they came back with a fight back campaign, and many people were asking themselves, fighting back against what? We just had 5 years of Nelson Mandela's presidency. But that took the DA from, at the time it was a Democratic Party, I think from position number 4, number 5, straight to the leader of the opposition. So the base of the DA responds positively to negative messaging. And when they come out as being very hard on the ANC, the base of the DA likes that. And now it's a matter of, are they going to be able to get their people out to vote? And if they can be able to get them out to vote, I think they may perform well.
Okay. Levando, your take, still on the DA?
Yeah, well, I see the DA leadership that is also in a panic mode, because if we need to hear the DA having performed well, the DA must then be able to add numbers in the metros where they've actually been in charge, even though they were doing it through coalition. But it's also panicking in the sense that a lot of black leaders have actually left the Democratic Party, and what they need to do is to ensure that those that had actually joined the party, even whilst they were trying to follow those that have left the party, they should still continue and support the party in these elections. But on the other side of the DA, I see the party that is boasting to say, you have been given a responsibility to run few municipalities. But in those few municipalities were actually doing very well. And that's why they put an emphasis that says, where we govern, we do better. And this is the same message that the DA has been preaching even during the 2016 local government elections. And indeed, there are people that are actually saying, maybe we need to give a chance to the Democratic Alliance based on the fact that they've got a good track record in terms of governance and in terms of service delivery, even though there are other areas where people will still point out and say, we're actually not happy with the service that we're actually getting from the Democratic Alliance. And I think when they boast about what they do, it is exactly what those who voted for them are saying. Yes, indeed, this is the party that has actually delivered, and we can still be able to trust this party. But very important, for me, I see the Democratic Alliance that still put the message of the fight against corruption and the job creation, which is the message that is also being preached by the ANC and the other political parties.
But Levando, just continue and perhaps take us to the EFF this time, because it's also an opposition party, also having a go at the ANC and its record, but somewhat approaching it differently.
Well, I think the EFF is in a much better position compared to the ANC and the DA. in the sense that the EFF has never been given a responsibility to run a municipality, even though they did so through coalitions, which have got their own dynamics. But I see the EFF that is saying that, yes, we've had challenges since 1994, and the ANC has been in power, and indeed the DA has been running some of the municipalities. But we still have challenges of the land, and which is what these two parties, other parties have not been able to address. They talk about accountability, which has been their trademark when they came into parliament, in the national parliament and in other municipalities. The EFF has always positioned themselves as a party that will require a lot of accountability, touching on health issues, to say that this is one of the biggest challenges that South Africa is facing, and we actually need a better approach. And the message, as outlined by the spokesperson of the EFF, is very simple. It says that we have been waiting for some time, and this is the time to deliver. And I think this actually touches on both the ANC and the Democratic Alliance on areas where they have not been able to deliver. Some might say the message might be too broad because these are local government elections. But in the mind of a voter might then be able to say, yes, they might be right, because these are the same issues that we've been facing for some time, and these other parties have actually done nothing about them. And the EFF is actually reminding everyone to say, we still have these challenges and nothing has actually been done. Mm-hmm. And if something has to happen, it should actually happen right now.
Makhosini Ngosi, your thoughts on the EFFs?
Yes. Look, I think the EFF is a growing party, and they've got the formula right. They are targeting the youth. The youth is the majority in this country, and the people who are young today are going to be older people of tomorrow. And I think it's growing its timber. You can see it going to university and other places of higher learning. The intention there is to capture young people and grow with them. And, eventually they see that as their path to taking power. But the problem that it's facing currently is that, if I can break it down at the risk of oversimplifying this, in South Africa, you have, in terms of the electoral base, 60% of it is ANC, 20% of main opposition, and the EFF has to fight its space in that 20% that it shares with a number of other political parties. So if it wants to grow, it must grow at the expense of the ANC. It must eat away from the base of the ANC, from the 60% of the ANC. And that's precisely what they are doing. Their message is, targeted on the issues that people are worried about, that people are concerned about. If you talk to people on the ground, they are growing impatient with this, dispensation that we're having, because they see it not working for them. They see black people remaining poor at the bottom end of the scale. They see white people continuing to flourish and doing better. And they're impatient with that. And if anything, the July uprisings or the July unrest should tell us that there is a situation that is conducive for, combustion to happen at any time. And I think the EFF has got, their pulse or their finger on that pulse. So they are intending to grow, and I think their messaging, in fact, I've said, there are three parties that are found to be doing well in terms of their campaigns in this election: is Action SA, the ANC, and the EFF. They are on the right track in terms of their campaign. Another problem that I think they may encounter, I don't know if, Julius Malema as a leader is more popular or is as popular as Cyril Ramaphosa. And I think that could be what could stand in their way. Cyril Ramaphosa can stand in their way of growth.
And that's where we're going to leave it this evening. Special thanks to our analysts, Makhosini Mgijwa and Levi Ndo. Now, before I bring you another little something from a friend of mine who is a puppet, chest missing, let's do this first. A story we focused on last night. ANC stalwart and former State President Kgalema Motlanthe has condemned the attack on an ANC news crew who were covering an election-related story in Bushbuck Ridge, Mpumalanga. People wearing ANC regalia accused them of being biased. The suspects demanded to be interviewed by the journalists, and police were called in to calm the situation.
That's unacceptable. It's criminality. I mean, no one has a right to attack journalists. Well, there's no basis for that. And as I think the ANC in its entirety will condemn that.
Well, someone a lot of us are familiar with is a guy called Conrad Koch and his puppet Chester Missing. They've been providing some election commentary as November 1 draws near. Well, he has been talking about, in fact, the puppet is talking about who to actually vote for and why. We're going to leave you with his thoughts on who you should consider or not consider voting for. Have a good night.
Hello guys, happy week. I hope you had a great weekend. Wow, what a weekend it was. The DA has a new election poster. I don't know if you saw it. It says, the DA or the ANC, your choice. Hey, the DA or the ANC, your choice. There it is. You've never seen a KFC poster where they go KFC or Chicken Licken, your choice. Or a condom ad where they go Durex or Lovers Plus, your choice. Or a tourism ad where they go Durban or Kebega, your choice. Or a DJ ad, Tebow Touch or iTunes, your choice. You've never ever seen anyone try to pick up a lady by going, hey, I'm better than your ex. Yeah, but what qualities do you have? No, I'm better than your ex. No, but what qualities do you have? Can we just focus on the fact that I'm better than your ex? Yeah, what are you actually good at? I'm not your ex, okay? That's the main point we need to focus on right now. Hey, are you okay? Yeah, I'm fine. Why's your mask so low? Because I'm trying to make you talk. Don't tell them you'll ruin the illusion. Hello everyone, I hope you're having a great start to your weekend. Chester here in case you've just arrived on this timeline and you think I'm Vin Diesel or Nathaniel. My goodness, yesterday I joked about Jacob Zuma. Guys, we need to calm down. None of these politicians care about us. Do you understand that? You just got to choose the politician who's going to give you the best stuff for you. Like if you want free t-shirts, then vote for the ANC. If you think land is important, then vote for the EFF. But no, the Julius doesn't care about you. No, he cares about his shoes. He'll talk about land when it counts, but eventually he's trying to get VBS and shoes. That's what Julius cares about. If you want service delivery for rich people, then vote for John Steenhuisen, guys. But it's going to come with racism. But whatever you do, South Africa, do not vote for Herman Mashaba. Because if he gets into office, you know he's going to make hair the only thing he cares about. There's going to be hair tenders. We're going to have hair-filling potholes. There's going to be hair products on everything. There's going to be local government hair entrepreneurs. There's going to be tenders for hair. It's going to be hair, 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 hair. Have a nice weekend.